Board is back from closed session at 10:03. The board is back. Sorry about that. Well, not all. Anyway, no votes were taken in closed session, and like I said, we're back. Item 4, consideration of consent items. I'll read them. If you want it pulled, let me know. Item A, consider and take action regarding approval of board minutes for the regular board meeting held December 18th, 2014. Pull. B, consider and take action regarding approving monthly financial information as of December 31st, 2014. C, consider and take action regarding approving cash investment report for all funds as of December 31st, 2014. D, consider and take action regarding approving expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. E, consider and take action regarding approving request for proposal 15-08 for chalkboard retrofits. F, consider and take action regarding approving an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission for participation in Medicaid administrative claiming. G, consider and take action to order a regular trustee election for District 1 and at-large Place 6 and Place 7 on May 9, 2015. And it's also there in Spanish. Considerar y tomar we don't have to. Anyway, okay, that's it for consent. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Salinas, second by Mr. Macias. This is for item B, C, D, E, F, no, E and G. F has been pulled, yes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item A, consider and take action regarding approval of board minutes for the regular board meeting held December 18th, 2018. Mr. Macias. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Macias.
All I wanted to do is reflect in the minutes the amount in regards to the agenda item where we pulled fund balance money for the project for the track and field and for the tennis courts. The minutes do not reflect an actual dollar amount, and so I want that for the record to be reflected. I think it was an agenda item.
And we voted on it.
No, the minutes.
In the
minutes need to reflect the dollar amount. That.
It's not in there?
Yes, my mic is on. So if we could have that reflected.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll put that in there.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, consider and take action regarding approving an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement, with the Texas Health and Human Services Commission for participation in Medicaid administrative claiming. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Dare, second by Mr. LaFoyle. Mr. Dare.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Alexander, would you explain that?
Yes, excuse me, yes, sir. The school district provides services to students with special needs that typically could be provided at a doctor's office. And so when we do that, the federal government allows us to charge the same kind of rates that, they would allow us to get reimbursed for the same kind of rates that they would allow like a medical provider for these services. And so we are required to complete these agreements to make sure that it's one of the Fed's requirements, the state requirements, saying that we agree by all these terms and conditions to make sure that we're in compliance with everything they're wanting us to do, so that we can get those reimbursements back when we provide those services to those kiddos.
What do we mean?
Oh, there was an original contract that was issued back in 2008. So they are extending the term of the contract. They're also clarifying some new requirements that they have, and that's what we're just adding that's what this addendum is for, this amendment is for, just for the additional requirements that they've adopted since the agreement that we had in 2008.
And so
Mr. Elizondo, Dr. Mackey, you're comfortable with, did you have legal review? Are you comfortable you don't need legal review? Is this agreement meet legal requirements as far as, the obligations of the district?
We did not have an attorney review this. We reviewed it. It is a document that's prepared by the government, and they give it to us, and it's one of these things where you're either going to sign it and agree to the terms, or you're not going to get the money. And so, yep. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, the ayes have it. Item 5A. Well, let's move this to Item 5A. Discussion, consider and take possible action regarding approving a resolution authorizing the sale of 7.7248 acre tract of land located on the southeast side of Upper Seguin Road and northwest side of FM 1516 to the city of Conroe.
Motion.
We'll have a specific motion we have to read here. I'm gonna make the motion. I move the board adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of 7.7248 acre tract of land located on the southeast side of Upper Seguin Road and northwest side of FM 1516 to the city of Conroe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Dare. Any questions? Okay, Mr. Macias.
Do we know what the city of Converse plans to do with this tract of land?
Mr. Mayor, can
We-
you address that?
We're proposing, and we're doing a plan right now, assessment on the needs, on the much-needed animal control facility.
Oh, great. I like that. I think I'd heard that, but I wasn't sure if maybe plans had changed or.
No, that's what
I
we're
think
using
that's
it
great.
for, nothing else.
Mr. Dare.
Just for the record, the mayor has spoken to us during Citizens to be Heard, and so I would just ask that his remarks be a part of this motion that he made earlier,
Absolutely.
so you don't need to repeat yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no? Aye, motion carries.
Dr. Mackey, just want to make it clear, you have to approve the resolution and then the following agreement as well. So you just approve the resolution. There's also an agreement that George Grimes put together.
Do we have to read this agreement?
No, you just have to approve that also. You just approve the resolution for the sale?
We just did that, right?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the agreement in connection with the previous resolution.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item B. Consider and take possible action regarding approving of interlocal agreement with Alamo Area Metro SWAT Team. Do I have a motion? Mr. Dare had the motion first. Mr. Macias had the second. Discussion. Oh, Mr. Salinas.
Mr. President, I'd just like to say that we had this agenda item previously, and I requested a legal review. Was there anything you needed to tell us, Dr. Mackey, on the legal review?
No, they reviewed it and it's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. C, consider and take possible action regarding approving job description and job posting information for internal auditor position.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dare, second by Mr. Macias. Discussion. Being no discussion, everything's in the packet. I'm going to put a roll call vote on this. Mr. Macias.
Yes.
Mr. LaFoille.
No.
Mr. Merrill.
Yes.
Mr. Salinas?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay.
I got some question on this. Why are we doing this? You know, it's not our job to do this. We do not make job descriptions. That is his job and her job.
Not is, the motion's been passed and carried, and,
That's what I say.
I can bring it back.
Why are we doing this? I have no idea.
Motion carries. Item D, consider and take possible action on the Judson ISD grading system. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Salinas, second by Mr. Merrill. Discussion. Dr. Mackey.
This grading system, ABC has already been done. The administrative did, it's not a board action. That's something administration has already taken care of, already notified the clearinghouse. And it's in the clearinghouse hands, and we're waiting on to get the results from them, how they're going to grandfather back and how far they have to make the decision. We can't make that decision. So it's at the NCAA at this time.
Dr. Mackey,
Yes.
I thought we had already done that last year.
No, y'all didn't have to do it. I did it. We took
I
care
mean,
of
that's,
it.
didn't we?
It's already done in
Oh,
our
okay,
policy.
okay.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
it's already done.
Just wanna make sure.
But what this is about is grandfathering, is going back from the seniors when they were freshmen.
Oh,
And we do that in the district, but pertaining to the NCAA, we wrote letters to them, and they have to be the ones to do it. We cannot tell them what to do. All we can do is send the information to them.
okay. And I believe that's the email we received.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
Thank you, sir.
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, Dr. Mackey. So just for the clarity on the record, we did approve, we discussed before about changing it, and the email stated that some of our athletes were unable to obtain their full ride scholarships based on our previous grading system. And so what Dr. Mackey is saying, the district is requesting permission to go back specifically for our students that are seniors this year, for them to be allowed to fall under the current Judson grading
That's
system,
correct.
which will allow more of them to qualify for full ride scholarships.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You want to go ahead and vote on it? Since y'all made a motion? Just, yeah, go ahead and vote on it. then.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Did you oppose, Richard?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Item E, consider and take possible action to allocate funding to send a cohort of JISD middle school students to the UTSA pre-engineering program this summer.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. LaFoille, second by Mr. Merrill. Mr. Macias.
Yes, I did want some discussion on this. The pre-engineering program that UTSA has out there is a pretty strong program, and since we have our JSTEM in step at this moment, I thought it might be advantageous to at least set some funds aside. Thank you for the report, Dr. Mackey, in terms of what our CTE dollars pay for the program, because we do fund some students through the CTE funding program that we have. According to the information I'm verifying, it did state that we spent $2,700 in 2012-2013 for the prep program, and that we spent $3,300 in 2013-2014.
But that's, when you spend CTE dollars, that's for high school students. We cannot spend on middle school students.
Okay, well, I did see something on that too. So when we sent them to the pre-engineering program, they were not middle school
No,
students?
Ms. Barrett, can you explain that?
The funding that we use for, to send students to the prep program comes from the Perkins Grant, and it's only for high school students.
Okay.
We have in the past stretched and have paid for some middle school students, but because this year the STEM wanted some more, we don't have enough funds for that.
Certainly, and that's why I wanted to put this on the agenda. Thank you.
And
Ms.
as I read it here, one of the things that we do have is that as a district, we can't tell the university how many students we want to send. The students can apply, and then the university, depending on the number of students that apply from the Metroplex, from the San Antonio Metroplex, decide the number of students that come from each district. And then once they do that, then they'll let the districts know how many allocations they'll give that particular district.
I see. I do know that my daughter went through the pre-engineering program when she was a student at Metzger, and that program was really strong for her. We, as parents, did not have to pay for that program, so someone within the Judson ISD
We did.
family or prep paid for that program, and she went her 6th grade year, 7th, and 8th grade. It laid a really nice, solid foundation for her. So if we can legally do so, I'd like to at least put a proposal initially to pay for 10 middle school students that would apply for the program, the 10 that would qualify apparently, and that could have their parents take them there, because we're not going to pay for transportation. It would just be for the enrollment. But I want to first make sure that that is something we can do, that we're not, there's no liability for us in terms of doing that.
As far as we
We-
know,
Go ahead.
as far as we know, 10 students have applied from the Judson Independent School District.
Well, and I say the 10 from each middle school. I'd like to definitely try to market the program to our parents, because I have visited with every middle school, and one of the PTOs that I visited with had mentioned that that program was offered, but the moment they said it's $300 to go to the program, some parents are like, they can't do that. So if there's a means where we can help and put kids through this program at that middle school level, I think we owe that community an opportunity to do that. So
The enrollment is open? Enrollment is open
Up
to
until the
anybody? It's open from
31st.
November to January the 31st?
I know it closes on the 31st, so we have a short window in which to market that. And of course, principals and the teachers would already know which students would probably be
Well,
interested.
right now, I can tell you that as far as the budget is concerned, we didn't budget
Oh, I
any
know.
money.
I know. That's why I'm going to amend. And if we go with the idea that we send 10 middle school students, which is just really a small cohort, that would
But-
be 50 students total.
But, Mr. Macias, the students can apply,
Mhm.
but it's not our decision as to how many
Oh, I know
students we
if
can
they get
send.
accepted. I understand if UTSA accepts them, that's totally, they have to go through an application process.
Correct.
But I'd like the district to say, parents, we will underwrite this initiative, have your child apply for the program, because I do understand that. And parental engagement is a very important part of the process, and that's why there's that interview. But naturally, at this point, we can't even do that, because, families at Kirby, Metzger, they're just, $300 is just not feasible for them. But we need to give that opportunity, at least try to, for those kids.
We could probably do that in our budget process for next year.
Well, and that's why I put it on the agenda, because I knew it wasn't on our budget. I didn't want to miss this opportunity to kind of, I won't say experiment, but to put a flagship together to see how this would work on a small capacity. And if we did target 10 students per middle school, you're dealing with 50 total students. You're having an expense in the $15,000 ballpark, which I think is a reasonable amount. Based on the value of this program. Obviously, we could look at it during budget discussions to see what the impact it would be, but certainly want to get the ball rolling. And again, just in conjunction with JSTEM, I think it beautifully fits into the program, and so that's where we are on that. And so naturally, this would be in addition to anything that the CTE is already paying for. So we should have a stronger presence. I've not known PrEP to say, we're not going to accept your students. I actually realize that PrEP wants to include as many students as possible. So I would be really surprised if we said, we have too many Judson students. I would really be shocked, but I guess we'd have to see.
Thank you. I certainly agree that that would be fine, putting 10 students per middle school, but we have to be very careful when you say to the parents, go ahead and your child apply and we'll pay. You can't say that. If selected, we will get that. But you have to be very careful, not just because then they're going to get the perception, oh, we applied. How come we didn't? But it has to be if selected by the university.
Yeah,
So that way
absolutely.
we won't have anything. Okay, thank you. Other than that, I definitely support that.
Well, I'd like to amend the motion. Oh, were you going to say something, Mr. Flores?
Well, I was going to say that we make a budget amendment for up to 10 students. Provided if they're accepted, or selected, that's fine. That's $3,000 right now.
You said 10 students total.
10 students total.
He said 50 total.
I'm talking 10 per each middle school.
10 per each middle school?
Yeah,
So we're
that-
talking 12,000.
15.
Yeah, we
I
don't
think they
know.
will. I think they will,
We
though.
said 50, but we only have, what do we have, 4 middle schools?
Yeah, we
Okay.
haven't had a huge response from parents because of I think, the cost, even though we do have CTE dollars for it, but at least we haven't really marketed it as a program that we might underwrite.
The CTE dollars are only for the high school.
Oh, that's right, and forgive me, thank you. But I keep remembering, my daughter went through it, so that's why I keep in my mind thinking, well, middle school students went through this program. So I keep drawing from that experience.
Mr. Dare.
I just want to say, for the record, I have a science-minded son, and when he was at Kitty Hawk, I could not send him to the program. I have 6 kids in school, and I could not send him to it. I think the program is excellent. I think in light of the fact that we're trying to get more kids interested, I certainly, Mr. Macias, wish you would have brought this up at the budget time, because I don't like budget amendments, but I'm concerned on how will they pick which 10. Let's say that the middle school has 20 kids to apply. Which 10 get the money?
Well, it's
How do they
not up
figure
to
that?
them, it's up to the university.
What if all 20 get accepted out of one middle school? You understand what I'm saying? Who decides which 10 at that school gonna get that money? Because we're gonna set a set price.
The total 50. You know, let's say there may just be 2 from Kirby, there may be 12 from Justin.
What I don't want to happen is what we had happen with STEM. I don't want to say, we say 50 kids, and then Kitty Hawk, sorry if Kitty Hawk's still here, and then Kitty Hawk gets more than Kirby or Metzger. I think if we say 10 per school, it needs to stay. If that school doesn't spend 10, that's it. I think it needs to be equal. I don't think we should take the 50 and let them spread it out. But I think, Dr. Mackey and his staff, they're going to have to figure out how to determine the 10. There's going to have to be some criteria made if there's more than 10 applicants.
January 31st deadline.
Well, that's, yeah.
And
Well,
we need to
and-
add 6 middle schools, because STEM, if we're considering STEM, and then Judson Middle.
But STEM is already.
Ms. Grady put money aside for STEM.
We're not considering STEM.
Yeah, eh,
No, because they're already.
They already, yeah, we're not.
well, I'd like just to amend the motions to get some clarity to the motion. So amend the motion, I move that we allocate funding for 50 students, 10 per middle school, to attend or to be potentially selected for the pre-engineering program.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That was the amendment. Now back to the motion. Consider and take possible action regarding approving consider and take possible action to allocate funding to send a cohort of Judson JISD middle school students to the UTSA pre-engineering program this summer. As amended. We already have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item F, consider and take possible action regarding approving the personnel report and update, including new hires, resignation, and administrative appointments. Hold-
Mr. President, can we have a motion that separates that out?
Okay, on the, a motion on, okay, the first motion will be on resignations. Do I have a motion on the resignations? Do all those in favor for the resignations, accepting it? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the resignation. Administrative appointments.
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation for the executive director of HR and the director of at-risk coordinator. Is that correct, Dr.
Benefits.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Dare, second by Mr. Merrill. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion for the administrative appointments carried. Now for the new hires. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
You didn't do that according
Oh, I'm sorry.
In that,
I move to amend the motion to include the athletic coordinator as recommended by the superintendent.
all those in favor?
Adding it to the motion we're doing right now.
No, but what position?
Athletic coordinator, head coach, that's an item.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you. I wanted to hear.
Okay, that's administrative appointment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. New hires. We have a motion for, do I have a second? We have one from Mr. Merrill, I'm sorry. Okay, any discussion?
Just want to be clear for the record, this is just for the new hires, not for a superintendent's administrative appointment, not for that position. That needs to be
Well, this is, yeah, we already did the administrative appointments.
right, but I just want to make sure before we vote.
Yeah.
We're on these new hires, not
Right.
inclusive of any other positions recommended by superintendent.
We voted on those.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. All right. Item, discussion item 6, report. Superintendent report, construction update. Dr. Mackey.
Yes, I gave all of you all the update on the construction report, and then I gave y'all a highlight on the new high school on Evans Road to demonstrate to you all that the things in yellow is the things that only need to be phase 2. Everything else is phase 1. And that is on phase 2 is the softball field, baseball field, practice field for the band, auditorium black box, and 3 floors of classroom, third wing of the classroom. And that's phase 2. Everything else is already included in this bid for this year. So that was one thing I wanted to share. And then we talked about the Crescent Award in the counseling, and we talked about the demographic report. Then we discussed the attendance, boundaries, and realignment, that let the board know we're looking at that. We have some recommendations, and hopefully the president will have a special meeting so we can talk about the boundaries and realignment, some realignment.
Work session?
Work session.
I just have a quick question about that, Dr. Mackey. What date or what timeline are we looking at for those meetings? When,
We're gonna have to do something if we're gonna make a decision before for next year, because we need the parents to know ahead of time, so the president will have to call a meeting for that.
and so when do we need to know? I mean, like, if we have to make a decision
Well, they would probably need to know by March 1st.
by March 1st, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The item 2, Crest Awards and Counseling.
Oh, Lord, get over it.
Yeah, we did that.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. We're down to C.
D.
D. Okay. Update on policy BE local, board meetings, first reading. Mr. Dare, you just want to, no? This is the first reading on these. Update on BB local, board internal organizations, internal committees, and first readings. Update to FFAC local, wellness and health service, medical treatments, first reading. G, discuss ratio and duties of social workers and hall monitors. Mr. Dare.
Dr. Mackey,
Go ahead. Yes.
what do you want to talk about?
No, you,
I see what you're doing. You want to say something?
no.
The board has the information the superintendent's given us. I don't see Mr. Cox. Oh, Mr. Cox, can you tell us anything about what's in our packet? Do you know what's in our packet?
What?
Mr. Cox, we're putting you on the spot at 10:30 at night. Mr. Cox, can you tell us anything about, I placed this agenda item of social workers and hall monitors out of some community input and some input from staff at the schools that the school district was no longer funding social workers to the fullest extent that we had in the past. And due to some of the issues we've been having in our economy and job situation, homelessness, et cetera, They felt like that our students could benefit from having social workers available to help them with some of their social and emotional issues.
Okay.
And so that's why I placed this item on the agenda. Can you give us any insight?
So the document that you have has the staffing, the current staffing for the social workers in the district. So you have the 4 elementary social work positions, you have the 2 secondary social work positions, and then 2 district-wide social work positions that are currently staffed. Are you asking for a recommendation for additional staffing in social services?
You have a recommendation? Does administration have a recommendation? Well, I want to know what is a recommendation. I'm looking at the budget. I'm
So-
not looking at hiring anybody tonight.
Right.
But I want some information ahead of time so we know.
We can look at the program review.
Well, I don't want to look at all of it at that time. Do you think at that time we're going to need some?
No, I can't see of any at this time.
Okay, so you don't really foresee any need for any additional social workers or hall monitors at any of our campuses? So,
Right now.
at program review, do you anticipate seeing any?
No, I'll hear, the program review, I'll hear from the schools.
Have you had any contact from any schools of any issues?
No, no. I had one school, one middle school said they do very well without them, but they would like to have them if we don't give it to them. I just had one middle school, I called all the middle schools and asked them. And we only have one middle school, and that's Kirby. But, they said if we don't give it to them, they'll take it.
Well, Kirby is our,
Anything you need, ready for it.
Kirby is our lowest,
Yeah, we got one.
and is the one at Kirby, is it being paid for out of district funds or title funds? Okay, do you know?
No, ma'am, we can get that for you.
Okay, because the ones that are being paid for out of title funds, then we're taking the title funds from the campuses to pay for the social workers. And I know some of the principals did that. If I recall correctly, and Dr. Mack, correct me if I'm wrong, the statement was if they want one, they could pay for it. So we took away the district funding, and some of them did and some of them didn't. So if Dr. Mackey is saying that he doesn't have a request from any of the middle schools for a social worker or elementary, Dr. Mackey? Or elementary? You haven't had a request from anyone saying that their schools needed any social work? Then I would request, before we get to the program review, that we do some type of survey of the community and find out how they feel about the loss of the social workers. So let's go to the hall monitors. I don't think that's your box.
Okay.
You get to sit down. Who does hall monitors?
I do.
I mean, but who's at the schools? The only person I see that used to be at the high school is Mr. Veal, but I won't put you on the spot, Mr. Veal, I'll be nice to you. We took away the hall monitors from the school. The reason I put this agenda item on is because we gave away $150,000 to the police department. We said our security was a problem and we want our students to be safe. If we pay attention to what's going on locally, people that don't have jobs, people that are upset with their bosses, people that have personal issues are the ones that pose threats to us. You know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, social work falls in meeting those external needs outside of academics. I think if a child is fed, clothed, secure in a place to live, or go home at night, has family, those basic things, I think that child is more capable of learning than a child that's coming to school, living out of a car, doesn't know if they're going to eat when they go home. And our social workers in the past were very good at helping families with some of those needs outside of academics. Our hall monitors were boots on the ground, interacting with our students, whereas our police department has an office and they have a lot of responsibility of a different level. And so my concern as we prepare to go into our budget, and as we expend money, that we do things that are close to the students that will help enhance their learning. And hall monitors are more able to form relationships with students, have their ear to the ground and know what's going on. And so I know the board is going to be looking at hiring even more policemen, and I want us to consider hall monitors at the same time we're considering putting police. And that was the purpose of this agenda item. It's not a vote. There's nothing to take any action on, but it was to discuss the ratio. And so we saw by our report, we have 2 hall monitors at Judson High School, 1 hall monitor at Kirby, 2 hall monitors at Wagner. And we saw our report during our demographic study of the crime and violence and the levels of which it was. And those of you that weren't here, there's a report on your desk. And so looking to the future, that's what this is about. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item H, discuss employee insurance and benefits program. Mr. Macias.
Yeah, I'll keep this brief, and just while I have the floor, I'll be pulling item I for right now. Let me review the information that Dr. Mackey has provided, and but in regards to letter H, the benefits, I just wanted to kind of put that out for people to consider. There's obviously a lot more information that we need going forward, but what I'd like the board to consider is developing a benefits package that is the best in Bexar County. When we're looking at retention, employee retention, we can't compete with some of the larger districts in terms of compensation. We just can't pay what Northeast or Northside pays for their teachers and their employees. But what we can do is potentially increase our benefits package to a degree that makes it very strong. So as we go through budget discussions coming up, I'd like to at least take a really strong look at that, so that, it may mean breaking into our fund balance, but it needs to happen. We need to have that conversation, because what's going to differentiate this district compared to other districts could be the benefits. And I'll also put this out there just for understanding. The reason why I picked benefits is because if the district goes into a situation where we have to pull back our funding, we can always pull back benefits before we could ever pull back compensation. And so it doesn't leave us in a sticky situation. But we certainly can value our employees and improve morale in terms of benefits by being that differentiator. So I just put that out there for us to think about. Nothing formal yet, but I'll probably will be asking for the insurance committee to come together to give us some leadership on that, and having Dr. Mackey or and anyone that's involved in this process give us some direction on what that would look like.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was glad to see the item in that I have had quite a few phone calls and concerns about the increase in employee costs. Although the board voted to increase what we were paying, and we required the employees to contribute, a lot of the concerns have not, I should say, were not specifically addressed when we approved the contract. And I don't have a lot that I want to attack on it, because we know we're in the process of hiring someone to look at that program, and we realize that Mr. Elizondo just got that responsibility. So, but as we go, Mr. Elizondo, I'll just give you one example. On the vision plan, transition lenses are no longer covered this year. And for a person that's worn glasses since 3rd grade, transition lenses are very important. And we gave them more money, but some of the benefits that they had dwindled. And I don't know if you have the insurance, but some of their costs, the percentages that they had to pay, increased. And so there's a constant, I don't know if we can set up any type of hotline, email area where the concerns the employees have or the problems that they're encountering can be addressed, but there's some issues that go along with what we've already done. And the other part was the insurance committee did not have sufficient time to meet. They met 2 days before school was out. And then they hadn't met, and the complaint was that they were not allowed to take the material home to review it. So they met and had a snap decision, and then they didn't feel like they were truly a part of the decision-making process. So those are my concerns. It wasn't my agenda item, but I did have those issues. Thank you.
Mr. Salinas?
I don't ever remember School Judson providing free eyeglasses or going to a doctor. I know it's an option that the employees can buy into, if I remember that correctly. Is that? That's what I meant, but they don't have to buy it. Oh, okay. It's provided, but the employee has to make that decision.
Plan changed.
Yeah, but
They got less of the plan. The employee didn't get to make the plan.
No, but he gets to
Yeah.
decide what
The employees decide whether or not they're going to participate in the vision plan, but the plan that the board voted on was not as good a plan as they had last year.
I understand. I just wanted to correct one thing. I've never heard of providing. I know that it's an option. It's always been an option, but you're saying now they changed the plan that was available for the employee. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
And we voted on that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Based on the recommendations that were given to us.
One more? Okay, that's it. Mr. Macias pulled item I. I'm going to pull J. I believe Mr. Salyer wants to speak on that. K, update statement of impact amendments. Huh? No, I didn't. It's first reading. Yeah. You want to say something on that, son? No. Okay.
Can you explain, Mr. Merrill, on first reading, it's just provided to the board, it's put on the website, and then the board members have the opportunity to go back to Dr. Mackey and make any recommendation, and then they'll bring it back for the second reading, and then we'll vote.
Okay, update of statement on impact amendments. It's in the book. It was a charter. What's the name of that charter? I can't remember. Generation 20 charter application. We have no choice. It's just,
We used to vote on it. I vote no.
You can,
it's not down to vote.
but it should be there.
We've always voted.
I don't,
It's,
well, it wasn't on that part of the agenda, so.
put on the next.
Okay. Update on board advisory committees. Mr. Salinas, you had that? No? Ms. Adair? Mr.
Jose.
LaFoille?
Don't forget, January 30th is the gala, and don't forget that the foundation has Fiesta medals, $6 each. Everybody buy at least 5.
Mr. Macias? Nothing. Mr. Merrill?
To talk a little bit about the board advisory committees. I think it was last Monday, correct? Last Monday, we had a meeting of the curriculum and the long-range planning committee. We had about 30, 35, 40 people there at that committee, which was really great. We picked a co-chair for the curriculum and one for the long range. As y'all know, we talked about last month that we want to try to split the committees, have a separate one for the long range and one for the curriculum, because half the people come, they want to go long range, and the other half, they want to go curriculum. And if you talk about curriculum all the time, the long range people, they get upset, you don't talk about their issue. So I asked the board to consider separating them last month. But the week that just passed, we had a meeting, very productive. The people came, was very interested. Some staff came, and between then and now, I talked to a lot of staff, which said that they was very interested. They really didn't know what the meetings was really about, and we really had a good turnout. We really did.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Merrill ran a great meeting. Mr. Kirshner helped, and Mr. Fields was there also. So, I mean, it's going to take a lot of commitment from the staff to get everybody on board with what we're trying to do. Yes, ma'am. Oh.
Yesterday, we had the SHAC meeting. We went over some of the policies of the big thing now is the new snack food thing. What we are going to be allowed to do for as in-school program, especially at elementary, when they have all of the sweets, everybody bring cupcakes and stuff there. Some of the parents are complaining about their kids are having too many sweet things. They bring some of them home. We're trying to get a policy where some schools, they give it at the end of the day and the kids take it home. Some, the last maybe 15 minutes of the day, last 30 minutes, and they eat all of it and they take it home. Schools do a lot of different things. We're looking at what the law says we have to do and what the district policy is, and the committee that was formed to actually look into that, Mr. Gonzalez was a part of that. Ms. Gonzalez, you want to say anything about that? He passed the buck.
It really is an administrative procedure, so we've been working with principals to determine what the rules are going to be, time and place, the type of snacks, or what type of celebration there'll be. So we're putting that together. We'll bring it to our pre-cabinet meetings, and we'll also bring it before all the principals so they can look at it before we enact it.
But I do want to emphasize, though, Mr. Gonzalez, the SHAC is a board committee required by law, and so you also need to take whatever your recommendations are back to the SHAC so that the SHAC committee is involved and know either before or after, but the law says that the SHAC is supposed to be involved in that.
That's where the policy and the procedure began. They
So, but
made
you're going to take back their
recommendations.
recommendations? You're going to go back to them?
We will take all the recommendations back to them so they see what's being presented to the pre-cabinet.
Update on board training, conferences, events. I'm going to consider future agenda to pick that up with the president. Board training, I know we have, MASBA has their annual convention up in Austin on the 23rd of this month, 23rd, 24th. Anything else? Conferences, NSBA happening in February? No, March.
I'll be at FRN the end of the month. And that's an opportunity to meet with our congressman, and so I do have a meeting set up with Congressman Cuellar and with Castro, and a photo op with Senator Cruz, so that'll be interesting.
Events, of course, the event, we have the gala. And I just want to take this moment to thank everybody for these gifts. It's School Board Appreciation Month. Dr. Mackey, your staff, all of the schools, we do appreciate it. Thank you very much. I can just say for myself and that it is a pleasure to work for y'all. We have a special meeting on Saturday. The day after tomorrow, 9 o'clock. We'll be meeting with Mr. McShann.
Yeah.
What else do we have? I think that's it.
This board appreciation, the staff would like to let board know how much they appreciate them, and thank y'all for Board Appreciation Month.
Thank you, Dr. Mackey. That's it.
Hey, whoever gave us these hats that are the Raptors, hey, we're done, so I can talk.